I've heard you talk in a variety of, in at least two or three foria, and correct me if I'm wrong. There's a little bit of I would say, a postmodernist discourse that comes from you, which is, in a sense, good because there's a lot of power into it as a woman, and you do need that. But the danger of that as well is there are a lot of women out there who are unable to exercise the power they have within, because everyone has the power. It's just a matter of exercising that. Now, if you say, for instance, that if you don't like the conversation, change it, you may not have the power to change that conversation. So for someone who has the power and has the ability and the skills to do that, that works fine. But for those who don't have that, it becomes a bit of a trap for them. Do you agree?
I was born a cynic and raised a skeptic, so I'm not going to agree. Not because of principle or whatever, but because to assume that other people don't have power, that's another form of disempowerment. So just because they don't exercise power in a way that we can define it as power, or we can ascribe and observe this is what power looks like, that doesn't mean they don't. And if their area of influence is much smaller than what both of us and those in this room are able to achieve, that doesn't mean they haven't had an impact.
Yeah, I do agree that, but I guess where I'm coming from, it's more on the practical level in terms of exercising the power that everyone, I agree, does have. But people have different abilities, different motivations to exercise that power. If you focus on, okay, let just people do whatever they want to do. There are people who definitely do need help in not only realizing the power they have, but utilizing it. So, and if you only limit yourself to let people use their power whatever they want to do it, you could be excluding without intentionally doing it. That's where I'm coming from. So I'm saying with regards to African youth, do you agree that reality may come into play?
Well, of course. I mean, if there are certain sections of the community who either for one reason or another aren't willing to engage or exercise that power and utilize the power that they've realized is within them, then it is up to me in my capacity as a youth commissioner to approach them if they are willing to approach me, of course, in turn, and then to see what is it that's stopping them. And how is it that we can move forward? So it is a realization on both parts, whether those with power and without power, and I don't like, power is probably the wrong dynamic or paradigm to have this conversation with, and then to go on and work together consultatively and cooperatively. That's...
How do you consult as a youth commissioner to be able to get the views and issues and whatever it is in the community, so that you can utilize that in your exercise? I mean, in your position as youth commissioner.
I think one of the benefits that have been I've got thus far as a youth commissioner is no one knows that Yasmin, is the youth commissioner. So I walk into...
Is it a benefit or maybe...
No, because that allows people to speak freely without conceit and without pompousness, even on my part. If so that they don't think that I am speaking from an official position, but it is from the position of a young person who, yes, I can see this happening and let's do something about it. But when I walk into a place, I never advertise I'm a youth commissioner. Just walk in, people speak to me one-on-one as an individual, as, person to person. And I gather all this information, keep it in as I do with most things, and then try and initiate another opportunity that provides them with access to people who are more powerful or more listening and open to that point of view than I would be.
I had a chat recently with Nick Gutierrez. I interviewed him and talking about unemployment. I know from the information I have that unemployment is a big issue within the youth. Some communities, such as the Somali community, have that serious problem. And what he came across to me that he wasn't necessarily aware of that, and if there are problems, then people should go and tell him. Do you sort of have chat with? I think VMC comes under his university. Do you kind of communicate and on a regular basis to tell him or whoever the authority is about the issues that you're getting from the community, and so that gets canvassed to the right people with the power.
Yeah. Well, it's not just unemployment, it's also underemployment. So
Yeah.
if we were to include the underemployment figures, then we'd all be in trouble.
Yeah.
And I personally haven't had a frank opportunity to speak to him about what I have in the 12 months that I've been a youth commissioner, some of the concerns that have come about. And these concerns are alarming, in all honesty, whether it's, pathways to education or employment, mental health, that also gets put, brushed under the table, and disability concerns and all that. I've never had a meet and greet, more than a meet and greet, so to speak, with him and lay everything out on the table. And that's an overdue conversation, I think.
All right, maybe one last question. By the way, I'm really enjoying this conversation.
Oh, you don't need to tell them that, just tell me.
And I want to extend it as much as I can. But anyway, I also see there's some sort of disconnect between the youth and the older generation within African communities. Is that your reading as well?
Yeah. There's a tendency to be unrealistically paternal within the older generation that I find when it comes to young people. The idea that what mum and dad says goes needs to change. But in turn, the young people need to realize that mum and dad speak from a position of wisdom, from a position of care, and from a position of compassion. Not because they're so strict and they never want us to be happy and and achieve our ambitions. No, they've seen what we can't see, and they're trying to protect us from this hurt and pain. And they appreciate more than we do, more than young people do, that life is an investment. Australia, our chance and our opportunity in Australia is an investment, and it shouldn't be squandered, because there are thousands of people who have killed to come here, who have died to come here. And when we are here, we just want to mum and dad, screw you, I'm going to do my own thing. And that obviously hasn't been working, because look at the mess that the African community is in. But this conversation, this intergenerational, intercultural conversation, because we do come from different cultures, even though we're from the same culture, so to speak, needs to happen. We haven't had this conversation. And if it is, it's always old people talking to themselves, young people talking to themselves. There's never been a place where two sides of the story have come, and that conversation's never been mediated. And that's probably what needs to happen. And it needs to be a conversation that free of repercussions. What the whole Chatham House rules sort of
repercussions. That's a big word.
Oh well, I can spell. So it needs there has to be consequences. But in terms of, I can't believe you said that, you shamed me in front of people of my own community. It's not an opportunity for shame or blame. It's an opportunity just for an honest, like a detox, because it's a toxic situation that both sides are finding themselves in. Yeah.
And that transpires through the community settings, because I guess what you've been talking more is about parents and children.
Sometimes it's not even your own biological parents who are parenting you.
That's right. So, because from the African point of view, it's the whole village that
raises a child.
That's right. But then when I see in community settings, whether it's in advocacy or community groups, that disconnect also is present. Young people are not talking to the older people, and the older people are not talking to the young people, and that is a problem.
Oh, definitely.
What are some of the best ways to provide role models to African youth? Because not all of them get the opportunity to see, to have access to role models, because there's a lot of issues within the communities. Their parents may be unemployed, and a whole lot of things. How do we go about trying to make role models accessible to young people, and young people realizing, and I want to say utilizing, but making the best of the role models that are being made available to them?
I mean, perhaps one, whether it's practical or otherwise, is to set up a professionals network. So you'll have an umbrella body, and you have people in accounting in one cluster and everything, and then mentor young kids who are in university and those who are in high school, so that form of, yes, I can be African and successful in media, yes, I can be African and successful in politics. Yeah, like for these different sectors, whether it's arts and media or fine arts, because there isn't many Africans in fine arts here in Australia, and show that we have a variety of interests, not just advocacy, not just refugee issues.
All right. Maybe one last question before you go. What message have you got for the youth? And what message have you got for the elders, so to speak, within the African...
You want me to stare at the camera?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's too corny.
Get the camera.
Hi, y'all. No. I don't know. I don't think I'm in a position to provide or to preach or to proselytize. I just think...
Just give a message.
Oh, this whole conversation is a message, I'd like to think. And
summarize it.
Oh, good Lord. You're going to edit it. That's the summary. I'm going to make your job as difficult as you're making mine. I don't know. I don't know. Old people should just let us fail. Like, support us when we do fail. That's one thing. It's fine to fail. At least when we fail, we learn. And when parents keep saying, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to, it only makes us want to do this.
But as long as the failure is not fatal.
Oh, of course, definitely. But at least when we do fail, we appreciate that it's our mistake, our fault, and then we learn a lesson from it. But be there to pick up, hold our hand along the journey. No matter how much it hurts, at least it's growth. I think pain is growth.
Well, let me remind everyone that Yasmin is the youth commissioner.
Don't do that.
And she is there to try to speak on behalf of the youth at the VMC, Victoriain Multicultural Commission, which assists communities in a variety of areas. So if you have any ideas, any issues related to the youth that you want to be brought to the attention of the big guys up there, you can go through Yasmin. We'll probably need to get your email address or some sort of contact, because part of what we're doing is trying to make sure that we get that communication happening on different level, because it's lacking within our communities. The AMA is coming to do that, and we want to make Yasmin accessible to everyone and make everyone accessible to Yasmin.
Definitely.
So don't hesitate, call her. She's a bit tough, but she's all right. All right. I want to say thank you very much for coming to AMA. It was enjoyable 10-15 minutes that we spent together. Thank you very much.
Thank you.